I want to have a conversation with you. Now, this whole video is unscripted, and I'll try as much as possible not to edit too much out of it. So it's going to be a difficult one, but I hope you flow with the conversation and my thought pattern. But when we talk about electric mobility in Africa, a lot has not been touched on, and a lot of information is not out there for people to know the potential it has. When we talk about electric mobility currently, we speak of places like the Americas, Europe, and Asia. And a lot of information is left blank. There's a lot of space when we talk about electric mobility, adoption, use in Africa. Now, a lot is happening in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana. Electric mobility for commercial use is being adopted on a very rapid scale. In fact, in some countries, it is reported, I'm not going to mention the exact country, but in some countries, it is reported that about 16,000 motorbikes are registered monthly, and these motorbikes are usually used for taxis. How electric mobility is used in Africa is completely different from what many people expect. Now, bikes that will probably be used on the beach in the Americas are used for delivery in Africa. Bikes that are considered to be probably 7 years or 10 years old, the models are considered to be very old, are what is fashionable in Africa at the moment. And when I talk about Africa, I'm talking about a continent. And the fact that about 80% of the countries that have adopted this technology are using, these models for particular purposes. And this conversation continues, to happen on a very low scale. And the people who have access to these markets are not the Africans themselves, are people from overseas who are bringing capital, cheap capital to Africa to tap into these opportunities. Africa remains a haven for anyone considering electric mobility. Considering the fact again that by the year 2000, Africa will be about a quarter of the world's population. It is very important for us to understand that not only does Africa have the population to its advantage in the very near future and even now, but it also has resources to its advantage. Africa has all the resources you need to produce an electric vehicle. So what does this mean? It means that in the years to come, and it's not very far off, Africa will be controlling its own market when it comes to the production and the use of electric vehicles. And I look forward to that time. What does it mean for businesses now? It means that if you're considering a market to expand into, yes, you should consider Africa, and you should have a long-term orientation towards doing business in Africa. And you should go to Africa with the mindset of partnering with local businesses and local entrepreneurs to be able to have that long-term orientation and build that relationship with the community. Because businesses that have strong relationship with the community are businesses that will live to see that year 2050 in Africa. And I want to encourage anyone who is interested in doing business in Africa in the electric mobility space to reach out to us at Gaso Electric, and we'll be able to hold their hands. We've been able to test the market with different products. We have spoken to different industry players. We understand what is happening on the market, and we know the solution for the African continent. We know the solution for the African continent. All right. I have seen many companies try to do this, but they don't go with a full stack solution. They go with just one part of the solution. But we believe that we have the full solution, and we are presently piloting the solution in some countries in Africa. Like I said in my previous video, our goal is to increase our fleet in the next 6 years to a minimum of 10,000, thereby creating jobs for 10,000 young people. And we hope that these 10,000 young people will in turn be able to raise their quality of life and produce better lifestyles for other people related to them and their dependents. So this vision is not a small one. And we believe that the continent of Africa is worth over $50 billion in the next 5 years when it comes to electric mobility. It is not an understatement. One country alone in Africa is estimated by the United Nations to reach about $5 billion in market size for just electric vehicles. We believe that it's for the continent of Africa, it could well exceed $50 billion in the next 5 years or 6 years. This is not confirmed data. And again, this is the reason why Africa is not on the minds of many entrepreneurs. However, we don't want to wait for data. We know by faith, and we know and we believe in the continent, and we see the patterns, and we are a part of the continent. The spirit of the continent is in us. And we have seen how internet adoption took off really quickly. We have seen how mobile penetration just went off very quickly in Africa. It is always impossible. It always seems impossible until it is done, like Nelson Mandela said. And that is why at Gasol Electric, we have the slogan that because we can. We believe that anything we say we want to do it, we believe we can do it because we can. And it's a purely faith, confession. We move and act in faith in our company. And we believe that any entrepreneur who probably started off in China 20 years ago believed in their country and believed that China is going to become what it is today. And China is indeed what it is today because people believed. And I sincerely believe that this word believe and adding we and adding can, believe we can, is what is going to drive the African continent to another level when it comes to the adoption of electric mobility. So join me, let's join forces, and let's make this happen. And if you're an African continent and you want to start your own delivery business and you're thinking of the capital it takes to start, we at Gasol Electric have a full solution for you, and I don't want you to think too much or worry too much about it. If you're already a delivery company, or if you're already an electric mobility company trying to use our technology or would want to be or will be interested in using our technology, we are more than happy to welcome you to use our technology. This technology we are introducing to the continent of Africa is not just for Gasol, it's for everyone. We want to integrate about 60 to 70% of current electric mobility users onto our technology, that thereby making costs extremely low and bringing extreme benefits to the consumer, to the riders, and to the owners of the bikes. Thank you very much. My name is Daniel from Gasol Electric, because we can.